More than 600,000 people call Vancouver home, and thousands more rely on the programs and services provided by one of the world's most livable cities. Through careful planning and a balanced budget, the accountability for managing more than $1 billion is something that we take seriously. Intelligent investing means holding ourselves accountable for addressing public priorities and delivering the right level of service and the right programs that benefit the community, like the Homeless Count Initiative and the Winter Response Shelter Strategy. The Winter Shelter at 21 East 5th Street is setting up for business on this December day, one of two 40-bed shelters being established over the 2013 and 14 winter seasons to ensure the street homeless people have warmth, food, and a bed until April. Though other cold and wet shelters exist, the winter shelters are low barrier. They allow people to come in at the start of December with their dogs, their carts, and their drug and alcohol dependencies, and know that they have a place to live all winter long, no matter what it's like outside. It's the least that people should be able to expect, says Erin Monroe, who's the project lead for RainCity Housing's cold weather shelter strategy. It's manager of community development, and this winter will once again work in one of the shelters himself.
We knew that some homeless people weren't coming inside and using traditional shelters. We had a number of deaths on the streets in Vancouver. So at that time, they decided to open up shelters. We were surprised at how many people showed up that first year, and we've been operating them every winter since that time. We welcome people in, out of the cold, out of businesses' doorways, and in different neighborhoods across the city where the City of Vancouver has identified that there's large homeless populations.
People don't understand that for homeless people, the day is a struggle from start to finish as they line up for meals, bathrooms, showers, and a bed that may or may not be available. In that situation, Monroe says, basic survival is a full-time job, and it doesn't allow them to progress toward more permanent solutions. Once those issues are taken care of, they have a chance to relax a bit and take stock, says Monroe. They get 3 meals a day and the potential of a regular routine, if that's what they desire. Some offer to help with cleanup or meal service. Staff members are there to help them get treatment for their health issues, gain access to services they require, and find permanent solutions to their housing needs. The City of Vancouver's ultimate goal is permanent solutions to the affordable housing issue, says Abby Bond, the city's housing policy planner.
We do a homeless count every year to monitor our progress, and since 2008 we've seen over a 60% reduction in the number of people who are living on the streets. So right now in 2013, when we did the count, we found 273 people. So it's heading in the right direction, and we're definitely going to keep up the pressure on getting that number down to 0.
The city's strategy relies on information gathered during its annual homeless count, which takes place in the spring. That's when 300 volunteers go by foot, by car, and by bike into neighborhoods identified by outreach workers as heavily populated by homeless people. The volunteers ask them several questions to determine their age, income level, and health issues. Although it's not comprehensive, the count suggests that the number of street homeless is slowly edging downward, but there's still a long way to go.
It's really important for us to make sure shelters are located where people are currently living, make sure they're located next to good transit links, so bus routes, SkyTrain, Canada Line, those kinds of things. Downtown is a real focus for us. We like to make sure that there are shelters in the downtown core because that's where many people are living. Other lessons that we've learned are things like how important food is in terms of a shelter. It's really important that people have a place to sleep, but that they also are not hungry and that they get the food and the nutrition they need. So those two things together, we often find that people start to make better choices about their future once they're no longer hungry or tired.
I've managed 8 of these shelters across the city in different neighborhoods over the years, and the sense of community that forms in these shelters is really inspiring. People tend to come in a little afraid and nervous and apprehensive of each other. Midpoint in the year, we're all fighting, and just like any community. I'm sure you can imagine having 39 roommates isn't easy. And at the end of the year, when we're closing and people are moving into housing, there's a real feeling of loss, and I've heard over the years people have kept really tight connections with each other, and they've kept really tight connections with RainCity.
Everybody needs a little joy in their life, he says. Life shouldn't always be a struggle. For him, the proof of the shelter's true value lies in their success stories. Monroe tells the tale of a 70-year-old man who'd been sleeping in parks for 10 years. When he arrived at the winter shelter, he was surprised to discover that he was entitled to health care. Another resident told staff that she hadn't slept inside for 19 years. She spent one winter in the shelter and was able to get herself together and wound up returning to school. She went back to the winter shelter to do her practicum. There's something amazing and kind of magical that happens in those spaces, Monroe says. They're a place for people to land, to relax, and become themselves again.